Hey, Dr. Berg here. In this video, we're going to talk about the relationship between protein and fat burning. You probably already know this, but I'm just going to make sure that you have all the details, because if protein did cause fat burning, why isn't everyone skinny, right? So this is how it works. Protein does have the capacity to trigger three main hormones that then trigger the fat burning process. So these are the three main fat-burning hormones. The first one is called growth hormone. It's made by a little gland in the pituitary, up in your brain, that is sent down into the liver. So growth hormone is made by the pituitary, but it works through your liver, all right? And it is triggered by protein. Next hormone is IGF number 1. That's insulin-like growth factor number 1. And that is a hormone that is actually made by your liver. It works very close to the growth hormone. In fact, it's triggered by growth hormone, but it's also triggered by protein consumption. So that's another hormone that's made from the liver, and then that helps you trigger fat burning. And there's one more. It's called glucagon. Now, it sounds like glucose, but it's not glucose. Glucagon is a kind of a funny name for a hormone that's made from your pancreas, and it does the opposite of insulin. So if insulin causes you to store fat, glucagon causes you to release fat, and that too is a hormone that is triggered by protein. But here's some rules on the protein. Number one, it can't be in excess amounts. So if you're consuming large quantities of protein, that can stop your fat burning process. In fact, it can trigger insulin. So we don't want to do too much, just a little bit, like 3 ounces. Depending on your size, it could be anywhere between 3 ounces per meal or 6 ounces per meal, all right? Not a 12-ounce steak. Like a 20-gram, if you have a good quality protein powder, if it's 20 grams, that would be a good supply per meal, okay? So that would be the quantity. The quality needs to be high. And what I mean by quality, it cannot contain something like soy. Soy protein isolates creates a lot of damage on the liver, and it's a very low-quality protein source. It's not a natural source. Whey protein can be tolerated on some people, but I find when I consume it, I almost can feel my liver getting irritated. So it does tend to affect people differently. So I don't really like it as the best source. But if you were going to do whey protein, make sure that you're doing grass-fed, not grain-fed, because that would be even worse, okay? So now we also have no sugar added. So typically when people eat protein, they add sugar to it, like at a Chinese restaurant, or they bread it, or they add ketchup to it, or they add some type of sweetener, like deli meats, they put dextrose in it. We don't want to consume sugar with protein. That's going to completely block any potential ability to burn fat, but it's also going to trigger insulin, again, that hormone that will counter the fat burning process, and it'll actually make you fat. Digestibility. Some people do not have the capacity to digest red meat. It irritates their system, so maybe they want to do fish, seafood, things like that. So you really want to look at the ability to digest the protein. I found that some of the protein sources like hemp tends to bloat people, so you want to find a protein that does well on your body, that doesn't cause bloating. And as you age, you lose the stomach acids as well. And so if you consume protein and you get gas or you get bloating, it could mean you just need to add betaine hydrochloride, which is a little bit of a acidifier that you can get from the health food store that will actually make the stomach acid, and then you can digest protein. Stomachs that don't have enough acid cannot digest protein. And that's one of the things that's very important in having a stomach that's very, very acid, because if you don't, you get a rotting effect of the protein, and that turns into gas. And a lot of people, as they get older, they don't have that acid. One way that you know you don't have enough acid is if you have acid reflux or indigestion. So you would think you have too much acid, but it's just the opposite. And I have a video on that. You can watch that. Actually, I'll put the video link down below, because if you have acid reflux, that means you don't have enough acid. And then if you eat protein, it's going to create more problems, all right? Very important, digestibility. Non-allergic. So if you're consuming protein that you're allergic to, egg whites, for example, that could be a big problem. Make sure you consume a protein that is digestible, you're not allergic to. That's just kind of common sense. Has to be complete. The problem with vegetarian sources of protein is a lot of times it's not complete. So they're consuming like a rice protein or a bean protein. It doesn't have all the amino acids, and it creates problems of deficiencies of other amino acids. All right. The one that I like the most if I was going to do a protein powder is the pea protein. Non-GMO, it's easy to digest, it's complete. It has what's called branch amino acids, which are good for recovery from exercise. It's a really good source of quality protein. I use it in the kale shake. I have it in the new kale shake, which actually has the extra protein, but it's a great meal replacement, and it's easy. It tastes good as well. Some of the protein powders, it's like not very tasty, so you can't really mix it with other things. So, in other words, now you are enlightened on protein, and maybe you can use this information to help yourself burn a little bit more fat. But the point is that protein is one of the triggers for fat burning, in addition to many other things, which we'll get into in some other seminars, or actually videos. So I hope this helped, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.